So today we're going to look at how to apply opposition instructions if you are playing a mid-block system in Football Manager. Currently we have a game coming up against Millwall. We're currently managing Bolton Wanderers in the Skybet League 1. We joined the club in February and we're still in mid-table, but Millwall, our opponents, are currently sitting in second place, so they're a very good team in the division right now. And if we look at the way we're going to set up, we're actually going to set up with the back three system against Millwall, but just to be sure, we can go to the opposition instructions to see how Millwall are also going to set up. They're also going to set up with the back three system, but for the sake of this video, we're also going to go into the team instructions first of all. Looking at our system, we currently have a cautious mentality set, but if you look at our team instructions out of possession, we have a low block. So I'm just going to move this up to mid block, and the defensive line, I'm going to also move the defensive line to standard. So this is what we're going to use for the game against Millwall. I'm going to leave the trigger press on more often. So let's get into the opposition instructions then. Over to opposition instructions, we can see that on the left hand side, our assistant manager or coach Richie Kyle has given us some suggestions that we can go about applying opposition instructions against this Millwall side. But before you even understand what these opposition instructions actually mean, you have to look at the Millwall team yourself and see. But rather than just click apply advice and just put everything here, we have to go into the Millwall team one by one and see which players are their key players and which players that we can actually look to exploit. And because we're using a mid block, we may not be trigger pressing any of the center backs of the opposition. So we'll go back to overview. Then under the match day screen, go back to overview. Under the overview, you're going to see next opposition report here, Millwall in second place. Let's go ahead and click the next opposition report. On this first screen, you can see the overview. You can see who their notable players are. They have the player that has the top goal scorer on the list is Mikhail Ivanovic. He has 13 goals already, so one player that we're going to want to pay attention to. Daniel Kelly is a defensive midfielder that has 9 assists. The player with the highest average rating is Doughty, and he has 7.2 match rating. So these three players are the players that I like to concentrate on when I'm doing opposition instructions. They're going to be the main threat. Of course, we still have to watch the matches and try and see where the danger could be coming from. But now that we know who our main threats are, we can go to opposition instruction and try to deal with them. So in the opposition instruction screen, that's back at match day, go back to match day and opposition instructions. So in the opposition instruction screen, we can see Daniel Kelly. He's playing as an attacking midfielder right behind Ivanovic, that is a top goal scorer. So this is the main threat, the players that are actually going to we're going to have to stop this connection that is happening here. And then of course, Doughty, he's a player that is playing on the left hand side as a left wing back. So we have to figure out who is going to be our right-sided wing back or right-sided winger that can go ahead and deal with Doughty in this position. So looking at Doughty first, we're going to start with Doughty. If you look at his player attributes, he has very good crossing ability and he's also a very fast player, good acceleration and okay pace, so he can get around. But one of his weaknesses that we see here is that he's not the tallest player, even though he has 6 foot height, but his heading is not very good and his leadership quality is not very good as well. His mentals are kind of weak, so we can try to exploit this. Another weakness I see here is his preferred foot. Doughty is only good on his left hand side, so if you go ahead and show him to his right foot, he may have a very difficult game. So starting with that, I can go back to show on to weaker foot. Go ahead and ask whoever is marking him or the team in general to show Doughty to his weaker foot, or I can just, since I already know that he's a left footed player, I can go ahead and ask them to show him onto his right foot. That way he's going to be coming inside. From the reports that we saw earlier, Daniel Kelly is not a defensive midfielder, he's actually an attacking midfielder. So we can go to his own player attributes and see what he has. He has very good aggression, very good anticipation. His mentals are quite good, to be honest. But looking at all the other attributes, his passing is great. His work rate is quite good as well. This guy is actually an excellent player. So we're going to have a real good job dealing with this guy. And it's good that we're going to set up in a mid block, because in a high press, he may have a lot of freedom to do whatever he wants. But in the mid block that we're going to use now, we're going to have to compress the play into the midfield. So Daniel Kelly, good on his right, he may be okay on his left, but he's not the tallest. His bravery is quite good as well, so going hard tackling on him might not be very effective. His pace is quite average, so we're going to have somebody that can actually type mark him. I think 13 pace is okay, it's within the range that I would allow for you to type mark a player. So Daniel Kelly, you can go ahead and go and turn on the type marking instruction for him. Looking at the way he presses, or looking at the way he sprays passes around, passing work rate as well, technique, looking at his technique is quite 12. We could consider turning on a trigger press on him so that he doesn't get to shoot the ball very often. His tackling, we're also going to go ahead and use normal tackling instead of the hard tackle because his bravery is quite okay. Again, I'm going to just go ahead and turn on the trigger press. Most of this stuff you can go ahead and uncheck these options during the match if you see that it's not actually working. So we've dealt with Doughty, we've dealt with Daniel Kelly. The last player that we're going to look at is Mikhailo Ivanovic, which is the center forward. Now his acceleration is about 12, so he's not the fastest player in the world, but he's 6'2", so he's a target forward. We're going to need to have somebody that is staying on him, making sure that my center back is going to be a player that is about 6'2" or taller. And then we're going to have to put somebody on type marking to make sure that this guy, there's always somebody close to him, so that if at all they play the cross into the air, the player can go ahead and intercept it. If it's going to be a through ball from the ground, the player is going to be close enough. Let's say it's a through ball from Daniel Kelly, or if it's a cross from Alfie Doughty, the player is going to be close enough to the center forward to stop him from actually getting the header or getting the through pass and then going on to score. Looking at his preferred foot, he's currently right-footed. It doesn't say much about his left foot, so you have to actually click Mikhailo Ivanovic to see how good his left foot is. His left foot is fairly strong, so there's no point showing him to his weaker foot. It's not going to make much difference. Speaking of weak foot, let's look at Daniel Kelly. Daniel Kelly's weak foot is reasonable, so we can just do that as a 50-50. You can choose to do it if you want, but you don't need to. Alfie Doughty is, we already know that he's mainly a left-footed player, so showing him to his right is going to be where you can nullify his game. Now, since we're using a mid-block in this sort of press, we're not playing with a high press, we're using mid-block. You can look for somebody in the defensive midfield here along this defensive midfield line as a player that is going to be the one to have the trigger press selected on them, except Daniel Kelly. Daniel Kelly's trigger press is more of stopping him from using the ball. This other trigger press is going to be about starting the press. So whichever player here gets possession of the ball, looking at the bravery of Derek Sacco, 12 to 14, his concentration is quite good as well, or let's say average in this particular division. Looking at the other guy in Alfie Massey, Alfie Massey has, okay, bravery not so good, concentration not so good as well. So Alfie Massey is a player that I'm going to go ahead and trigger press in this particular situation, and I'm also going to put a hard tackle on him because he's a player that I consider if you hard tackle him, he can have a very, very poor game. Looking at his weaker foot, I'm going to have to click him now and see his weak foot is his left foot, so we can go ahead and show him to his left foot or show him to his weaker foot, whichever one you prefer. That's going to just nullify his game a little bit and try to make him a weakling for the opposition. Because we're not playing a high press, they're using a back three system, there's no need for us to put a trigger press on any of the center backs or even the goalkeeper, because they have three players there and we may have only two or one player up front, so that player may not be the one to run around chasing these three guys. So just allow them to play the ball the way they want. When they come into the midfield, that's what we're going to start doing our pressing. We have Alfie Massey on the trigger press, and we have also Doughty going to his right foot. So since we've blocked Doughty's left hand side, or his left foot, sorry, since we've blocked that side, he's going to want to come inside, which is his option is Massey. So he's going to want to play the ball to Massey, and if he plays the ball to Massey, we have a trigger press set on Massey. That's where we're going to start pressing and then try to win the ball from there. This is the way I go about creating a midfield mid-block opposition instructions. Now my assistant manager is probably giving these instructions based on a different setting. He's probably not using a mid-block. You can go ahead and read it, and it's important to trigger press the ball when Alfie Doughty has possession of the ball. That's because he's one of the players that is to cause a lot of assists. So I already did that before even reading this. So that's sort of what I put in. It's sensible to show him to his... So it's sensible to go hard on Doughty. I didn't actually go hard on him, but the assistant manager recommends that I can do that. I can choose if I want to. Looking at all the other ones that we can see here, it's instructing our players to show Daniel Kelly to his weak foot. I don't really recommend that because we've seen that his weak foot is, well, reasonable. We can choose to do it if we want, we can choose to do it if we do not want. So it's up to us really to go about doing that. But most of what you're going to see here is similar to the logic that I gave you. It's kind of how the assistant manager also goes about thinking about it. So we kind of share some opinions there. He also discussed the player here in race, Bangura Williams. He says you need to go hard on him, but we've not really looked at him. He wasn't really one of the key threats when we were looking at the reports. So I didn't really pay too much attention to him, but I'll be very honest with you, it has happened before where I did not pay attention to a player and he was the one that actually caused us a lot of problems in the game. So do go through this as well and then try to see how you can go about doing that. But for mid-block, I really don't focus on these other defenders. I try to put the trigger press in the central midfield and then force the press to come inside. That way you can try to win the ball from there, and then look at the three main players that the opposition has. You can use the report to do that. Use the report to find their two or their three key players. Players that has the best assist, the top goal scorer, and the player that has the best match rating. Those are the guys that you want to pay attention to. Every other person, as the game unfolds, you try to watch them and take care of them. Now, despite everything we've done in the opposition instructions, you don't really know how the game is going to unfold, so you still have to watch the matches and adjust accordingly. We have decided to start with a mid block because that is how we plan to approach the game. But if it doesn't work out that way, if we're giving them too much time on the ball, we're going to have to change something. So after half an hour, we've kind of survived the first 30 minutes of the game, and I heard that Millwall are currently pushing players forward, trying to put a lot of pressure on our players. But here's us trying to play through up to Simmons. Here's Doughty. Plays the ball out to Saul Loza. Can he just make a very good cross? Lovely cross. Oh, that was really close. Oh my goodness. So here's a throw for Millwall. And if we just pause the game here, you can see that they have their three players in this particular setting. The central defender, Taylor, and the other two center halves. My defenders or my strikers are all the way in this back here. You can see the block of midfield. 1, 2, 3, the front three, and then the back defensive four, two DMs and the two wing backs, and then the back three, the other guy is somewhat hidden. So there he is. Yeah, so there's a through ball out now to the other in Leonard. Leonard wasn't really considered in the list, but since we have a mid block and they're getting into our zone now, we expect the team to start pressing at this point. There we go. So there's the block. They're still trying to play through us, and I'm really getting scared at this point. There's a through ball through the middle. Angura, oh, he's missed it. There's a problem. They're trying to come through the center. What I can do in this scenario is to go to my team instructions and then out of possession. I know we asked Doughty to come inside, but we may try to use the pressing trap to show them outside, because one of the main threats that we have now is their number 10, their attacking midfielder in Daniel Kelly. So we do not want him to have the ball, so we can show them outside. There's good recovery out to Derby. Lovely ball. Oh, he's greatly recovered from there. Sacco. So we see now that the Doughty guy that is all the way on this wing, they're not actually using his wing anymore. So they're starting to focus the play on this side now, because we sort of nullified Doughty from the game. So they now have to resort to using the left side. So there's good recovery to Mfion out to Derby. Where are you playing the ball to? Okay, so Loza threw ball out to Cogley. There's a ball down, 1-0. Miles Hart Harris. There we go. Great recovery. They can't really use Doughty's wing because we've nullified him, right? So there's a through ball out to DarkHorseFM. There's a lovely square pass, and Harris is in there to just slot it home, 1-0. So there is halftime. We haven't really had the best of possession because we're playing with mid block. They have all the possession. We're giving them the ball. We're not really bothered too much about possession, so we're just going to try to finish off the game, try to stay solid. I'm happy with everything that is going on. Start the second half. So at this point, Millwall will start making changes, so we're going to have to adjust to the changes that they're making. There's a lovely header. Leonard. They're consistently using Leonard's wing. Great save. Long ball over the top. So Loza, can he finish? And he does. Long ball from the goalkeeper. How about that for a wonderful ball? How about it for one? Really long ball over the top from my goalkeeper. The centre half had no answer here. Like, that is just crazy. I didn't even plan for this. This is like cautious football right here. So I'm just going to pause the game here in part of the mid highlights, 75th minute in the game. Look at Kelly. Kelly is struggling in this game. He had a 5 point. He has a 5.9. I'm not really sure the guy have marking him. Okay, and Nahan is currently the DLP that's responsible for dealing with Kelly. But most of the instructions that we gave on Kelly has actually worked out. He hasn't had a very good game today. So even playing with a mid block has helped us a whole lot in dealing with Kelly. So at 84, I'm going to just count this a very, very good game, a complete victory, to be honest. Hopefully, we do not concede 2 goals in the next 5 minutes. But let me just leave the remainder of the game to while out. You can just enjoy the last few minutes of the game. Of course, of course, Daniel Kelly went on to score. How many goals do they need now? Like two? So they had to resort to Doughty again. And probably the player that was marking Doughty became tired. So we basically just left him unattended and then he played an early cross and there you go. Same thing that we anticipated went on to happen. Cross from Doughty over to Kelly. Well, we were able to do it for over 80 minutes, but eventually they got one back, but it wasn't enough. We still ended up getting the 3 points from the game. So that is how the game went on to go. Let me know if you have any other additional questions about opposition instructions, especially in the mid block, and I'll see you in the next video.